Welcome for online video session on operating system, 4th semester, subject code 18CS 43. Myself Jagdish from Canara Engineering College, Associate Professor. So, operating system is a core subject in the Visheshwara Technological University for the 4th semester Computer Science Engineering Department. And prescribed textbook for the operating system is by Galvin, that is 7th edition operating system principles. So this is the one prescribed textbook for operating system in VTU. So there are a lot of reference book also. If you want, you can go through the VTU website for the syllabus. So coming to the operating system, what is actually an operating system? A operating system is a basic tool or basic software which is required before you operating the computer. Without operating system, you cannot even switch on the computer. So operating system is a main program which is required, which is going to manages all the hardware of the computer as well as application programs in the system to perform the computing. So we'll see the definition and what are the topics that is covered in this first chapter. So in the first module you have 3 chapters. First one is a introduction to the operating system, and second one is a system structure, and third one is a process concept. So in this video session we'll try to cover the first chapter, that is introduction to the operating system. So operating system something like which is like a skeleton for how the skeleton is important for the human body. The same way the operating system is something like a skeleton, or maybe you can consider as a main thing. Without operating system you cannot compute anything in your computer. So these are the topics that we'll see in the first chapter. One is what is operating system do, second computer system organization, third one is architecture, fourth one is structure, that is a operating system structure. Then next, operating system operation, process management, memory management, storage management, protection and security, kernel, data structure. This part is not there in your syllabus. Then next, computing environment, and this is also not there, open source operating system. But whereas we'll study the little bit of this all this concept in the first chapter, and in the while coming to the next modules, that is from the third module, fourth and fifth module, you will study the each topic separately for the better understanding of the operating system. Next, what is an operating system? A program is nothing but a collection of a program. Whenever you may come across in the earlier days, in the earlier semester, you have written there is a data structures program. What is actually data structure? For example, before you start executing your before you start learning the program, like addition of 2 numbers, subtraction of 2 numbers, usually you have written the program separately, right? Once you learn the program, that is a C program, that is a loops, switch statements, like etc., then you come to you can write it all the 4 mathematical operation using a switch statement, right? So same way here, something like collection of programs is a operating system is actually nothing but a collection of program that interacts between a user of a computer and the hardware of a computer. What is the operating system goal? What is the main goal of the operating system? The main goal of an operating system is for the computing purposes only. So you can see your calculator, there is addition of two numbers, or maybe even you are executing your electrical problems, electrical subjects problem in the first semester, as well as your there is civil problems, there is load, strength, whatever that problems you have learned in the civil. Without calculator you won't able to solve the problem. So making computing easier for the user, the operating system is necessary. Even your there is your mobile is also required operating system. Without operating system your mobile won't work. You cannot install any app also. Nowadays you have seen lot of operating system in a modern era, whereas earlier there was only one operating system, DOS. That is then after the MS there is Windows, it came, and Unix, Linux, etc. Nowadays it's a version, there is late depending that is how the application gets keep on getting changes, as well as hardware getting changes. Even the operating system is also getting changes in the version types. You see your in Android also. Android it was now it is something like 11 or 12 is our operating system. So even earlier days operating system where they were using in the mainframe, that is IBM mainframe, that is they were the larger devices they were storing they were installed in the operating system. So all other users have to make use of that operating system by connecting their devices and for the computing purposes. Nowadays for all your personal PCs have a operating system. So as evolution of a era as well as operating system, it's keep on getting changes. Nowadays we can all see in our personal computer for computing purposes. In earlier days it was only something like they were storing in a larger machine where each one of the users for the computing purposes they have to connect their devices in that particular IBM mainframe, then they have to use to do the computing purposes. So it makes the user easier job. Without operating system you cannot even install even a single application also. Execute a user program and make solve user problem easier. Now you see in the Calci also, without a there is a operating system you cannot even your Calci also won't work. There will be embedded OS will be installed in the Calci also. Make the computer system convenient to use. Without operating system even your hardware or any other devices like printer, mouse won't also work. Use the computer hardware is an efficient manner. To make it efficient use of the hardware devices, operating system is needed. So you can see in this diagram, to work the keyboard or to work mouse, printer, monitor, even applications you have a lot of applications, hard drive. So to all these components to work you require the basic thing with operating system. You can call this something like it's a heart of the CPU or computer. Without heart even a human cannot be survive. The same way without operating system even a system even cannot do a single operation also. Computer system structures. So what is actually a computer system? So computer system is nothing but a hardware, operating system, application, users. Even without a user cannot be even computer cannot be work. User is required. That is human effort is also required. Human power, that is to work with the computer, human is required, that is user. So all together makes you a computer, a full structure. So what is actually a computer system? Can be divided into four components. That is, one is hardware, operating system, application, program, and user. Hardware is nothing but like a CPU, that is central process unit. In that central process unit you have a number of memories, that is registers, capacitors, etc. And memory, it is a RAM, ROM, erasable program ROM, input output devices like keyboard, screen, monitor, printer, etc. All this comes under hardware. It provides basic computing resources to calculate or to compute the resource, that is calculation purposes. All these resources are required. And main thing is operating system. What it does, it controls and coordinates uses of hardware among various application and user. So actually, yeah. Yes, see here, there is a operating system, OS is here, and above that your hardware is installed. So in between, that is, to communicate this operating system to the hardware, there will be device drivers, that is program to communicate in between these two. The operating system is an intermediator between the hardware and the application program. So any devices it wants to communicate it, like printer has to get work, mouse has to get work, operating system is a must. It controls and coordinates the uses of the hardware among various application and users. Applications programs is nothing but like your that is app defines the way in which the system resources are used to solve the computing problems of the users. So in that you can take it an example as your MS Office, compiler, web browser, database system, video games, etc. So there will be a lot of application devices, application programs will be opened in the PC. There, for what application, what resources is required will be calculated by the operating system. So if any of the resources is held by the any other application, then the application which requires the resources has to wait till the other application finishes work. Then only the operating system allows the resources to make use to the other application. So you'll come, you'll study this part in next coming classes. So how the resources will be allocated to the particular application programs. Application program, you can nothing but you can talk it as a process also, process. And user, you can see here people, machine you can be considered as a even your embedded systems, so like washing machine is also a machine, and even your micro oven to work all those things, that is operating system to work properly. The machine's operating system is a must and needed. So other computers. So these are all the components of the operating system or computer system. Components of the computer system. Next, 4 components of a computer system is nothing but, see, you can see here, one is hardware, first one, second one is a operating system, third one is application program, and fourth one is a users. There will be number of users will making use of the that is system application program. Above that will be operating system, above that hardware. So without hardware even you cannot do a single computing then without operating system no hardware works. So without operating system application programs won't work, then without application then there is no use of, that is without a application user you cannot make use of the computer properly. So they're all interlinked one to one. So you can see here input devices are all, that is mouse, keyboards, and you can see the CPU, memory storages, and output devices like monitor, speaker, even more printer, etc. can also be considered as the output devices. And secondary storage devices, it can be considered as your CD, then CD-ROM, as well as even your pen drive, even your portable hard disk, etc. are all considered as a secondary storages. And primary storages, you can is a that is RAM. RAM is a primary storage. Whenever you purchase a computer, you can, they will ask what type of, that is what is the that is peripheral, that is what are the specification of the system. Then you can say something like 4 GB RAM or 2 GB RAM, like that. So if the RAM size is more, then computing per process will be very high. For example, if you have a 2 GB RAM, you cannot install or you cannot do a larger computing research works you cannot do the research work in the 2 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM. You require a high performances RAM where processing will be more. So that's what, if your RAM size is more, then your computing speed will all be also high. So always whenever you purchase a system, depending upon your resources, take the system. So some of the there is in the student life, there is not need of much more than 4 GB RAM. If you want to there is 8 GB RAM or 16 GB RAM, then you have to pay more money, because each of the RAM cost around 2000. That is 1 GB RAM cost around 1000 or 2000, depending upon the company. So my preferences, always you use a low performance of the RAM. That is 4 GB for the student life. It is more than enough. What operating system do? Main thing, see, you have a computer, and what purpose and what it will do. It will do easy of use and do the good performances. It makes the user to do work easier, and do not care about resource utilization. So one application may ask uh, the processor, or they may ask other resources, like it may require a printer, or it may require a RAM size of 2 GB full, or it may require a memory of 20 GB, depending upon that. After completion of the work, it return back his resources, etc., to the main to the resource allocator. So don't worry about the resource utilization. So what is main? It makes the work easier, and it gives a good performance for the end user. And shares the computer such as mainframe, mini computer must keep all the users happy. Users of dedicated systems such as workstation have dedicated resources, but frequently use the shared resources from the servers. So for the in the workstation, you can see in our college itself, there will be each lab there will be a dedicated server. So if at all the server is not at all capable of handling the for 30 users, then they can make use of the shared resources of the other lab also. So that will help by the operating system. Handheld computers or resources poor, optimized for usability and battery life. Some computers have little or no users interfaces, such as embedded computers in devices and automobiles. So you can see here, as there is motherboard. This part is all the there is processor, that is i3 processor, i5 processor, are all been at this steps. And you can see here the slot that is used for the AGP, and you can see the number of connectors. Like you want to connect the pen drive, or you want to connect your what to say the mouse, or some other that is a like speaker or etc. That is been all the connectors will be integrated devices will be given at this side. And this is CMOS backup battery to keep on running your computer time to our to bootstrap program will be stored in this CMOS battery. To work that you require a CMOS battery. And you can see here RAM slot as well as CPU fan is been to make it cool for the processor is been slot is been allocated here. So this is the why the operating system is depending upon the point of view. That is, one is easy of use and good performance and resource utilization, as well as workstation servers. Operating system definition. Operating system is a resource allocator. One is resource allocator. First one is resource allocator, and second one is a controller, that is controls the program. Resource allocator and controls the program. Resource or manages all the resources. It may be your CPU cycle, it may be your memory, or it may be your RAM, or it can be your printer, etc. It manages all types of resources allocator as well as managing of all the resources is being done by the operating system. Without that, you cannot allocate even a single resources to the any of the application. Next, it decides between the conflict request for efficient and fair resources users. So what is the meaning of this statement? For example, process A and process B both are all requested the for the memory. So first it was asked by the B, and second it was asked by the B, A as well as B. So first, this is first person asked and second person this was. It is not that B is it won't give that resources immediate first for the A, B for the first for the B. It first gives the memory for the A because it was asked by first A only. Then after, if it is releases the resources by A, then only it allocates the resources to the B. It won't make any fail. That is something like un HO, un HO. It's not like that. It will do correctly. There is no conflict between the A and B. And operating system is a control program, controls execution of a programs to prevent the errors and improper use of the computer. Controls execution of a programs to prevent errors. So a operating system, it controls the program as well as operating system is a resource allocator. So this is two important is been done by the operating system, right? It is a universally accepted definition. Everything vendor ships when you order an operating system is a good approximation. The one program running at all time on the computer is the kernel. So kernel it will have a bootstrap program that is keep on running continuously. Whenever you press the power button, when you press the power button, the one program it will be stored to boot the program, that is operating system, is nothing but the kernel. And to work kernel 24/7, that is one is CMOS battery will be added in the CPU. Everything else is either that is a system program and application program. System program, it's keep on that is ships with operating system, as well as application program. Without application, that is operating system. See, even application operating system without operating system, an application program won't work properly. Yeah, of course, I say keep on setting the bootstrap program. You can see a bootstrap program is loaded at power up or reboot. So bootstrap program, something like a catalyst to a CPU. So it whenever you to restart or to start the program, that is operating system, in the bootstrap program, there is something like ignite. Whenever you can see even when you start that is start your car, some ignition will be taken in between the petrol as well as that is engine. So same way, it's a bootstrap, something like a ignition to start the operating system, where it's a small program will be embedded in the bootstrap, that is in the something is embedded program to start the operating system. So typically stored in the ROM, that is read only memory, or erasable program ROM, generally known as a fireframe. It's typically stored in the ROM or erase program ROM, generally known as a firmware. Initializes all the aspects of the system. By whom? By the bootstrap program. So bootstrap program initializes all the aspects. Something like one is initialize the operating system, initialize the clock of the system, and what are the things that is required to start up the operating system. All those aspects will be stored in the bootstrap program. It loads the operating system from the kernel and start execution. Loads the operating system, kernel, and start execution. So operating system organization. So operating system operations are one or more CPUs, devices, controllers, connects through common bus providing access to the shared memory. One or more CPU, devices, controllers connects through common bus providing access to shared memory. So there will be a buses will be connected to the memory as well as other devices, something like a keyboard, mouse, printer, monitor, or USB controls, disk controllers, etc. All those things will be connected one to one by using a bus, something like you have seen in the EC lab. When you are executing, there will be, you have seen the bus, how it will be connected from CPU to the devices. So concurrent execution of CPUs and devices competing for memory cycles. So operations of the computer system is input output devices and CPU can execute concurrently. Each device's controller is in charge of a particular device types. CPU moves the data from to main memory to the local buffer. So from main memory to the local buffer. So whenever to execute a larger applications or larger computing, you can see that data. Of course, you have seen in the, even in the EC and LD lab, how the data are moved from the, that is from the system to the devices, to even a step up motor or step up step down motor, something you have studied. Input output is from the device to local buffer of a controller, and device controller inform the CPU that it has finished its operation by causing an interrupt. Of course, this is interrupt, we'll see it in the next slide. Yeah, interrupt transfers the control to the interrupt service routine generally. Interrupt transfer controls the interrupt services routine generally through the interrupt vector. So this is a interrupt vector. You can see this is one example I have given, interrupt vector. So whenever if you want to, there will be controller. So it keeps on moving. So for example, even when your power is very less in your CPU, that is in laptop, so interrupts keep your program will keep on working. So okay, your program will keep on working without any disturb. So whenever the power if is very less to execute the application, then suddenly the interrupt occur at this point of time, then interrupt points directly to the shutdown button. So it directly example, this is what for example, think that shutdown the function is been stored at this location. Shutdown is stored at this location, so it continuously works, keep on working its operation. Whenever it shows there is not sufficient of power, then controller that is interrupt at this particular point of time, and it shows shut down the system or plug the button, plug it into the socket to supply the power. So something that pop-up window will come now. So this is how the interrupt get occurs. Interrupt architecture must save the address of the interrupt instruction. So interrupt instruction, you can see here some set of instructions will be stored in the interrupt vector. So depending upon if any of the interrupt get occur in the program or in the application, then that the controller directly goes to that particular interrupt vector. So in this interrupt vector, there will be some addresses also will be stored at this location. Some that is memory addresses, something like 001 or hexadecimal, something like, for example, I will show it as a 1 2 3 4 5 like that. So depending upon the interrupt occur in the application, it moves to corresponding interrupt vector. A trap or execution is a software generated interrupt caused either by a user request. An operating system is an interrupt driven. So operating system is an interrupt driven, means it basically works based on the interrupt vector. So whenever there is a set of instructions will be stored in the operating system, depending upon the that is operation or there is a routine caused by the application or some other due to some reason, the corresponding controller moves to the interrupt vector and perform the operation. interrupt handling, there is types of interrupt occur is polling and vector. So usually we go for the vector, that is usually operating system will be having a even polling is also there, but very rarely polling will be occurred. Separate segment of code determine what action should be taken for each type of interrupt. So separate segment of the code will be there, what action should be taken at each interrupt or type of interrupt. So operating system state of CPU is storing by registers and the program counter. So you can see here in this location user process executing without any interrupt, it keeps on moving. Whenever interrupt occurs, so you can input output interrupt processing. So at this point of location some interrupt occurs, then see here, then it performs, then once again it interrupts occurs and it goes. So input output device transferring, that is at this point of time the system will be get idle at this location, and some transferring some data it keeps on, then once again the system is idle at this location and performs the operation, something like you can see here, input output request transfer is done, input output request and transfer is done. So interrupt in this diagram you can see the interrupt line timeline at this point location. So any interrupt occurs, so it stops and start executing. Once again it stops and start executing. Input output structures. After input output starts, control returns to the user program only by input output completion. After input output starts, control returns to user program. What actually does, it waits the instructions, idles the CPU until the next interrupt occurs, wait the loop, and at most one input output request is outstanding at a time. After input output starts, control returns to the user program without waiting for input output completion. One is system calls and device status table. System call requests to the operating system to allow the user to wait for completion. Device status table contains the entry for each input output devices and its types, addresses and state, etc. And this is not required. This is something like kilobytes. What is kilobytes, megabytes? You can see here the basic unit of the computer storage is a bit. Of course it's a bit, and 8 bit makes you a byte, and that is word, a common term is word, which is architecture makes a 64 bit registers, and 64 bit is equals to 8 byte, and kilobyte is equals to kb is represented, megabyte is represented MB, gigabytes it represents GB, and terabyte next petabyte. So we are at this point of view, if you see your laptop, they will say 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte. Earlier days when we were purchasing the laptop, it was in the gigabyte. When we are using in the student life, it was in the that is kilobyte actually. Floppy disk we were in the kilobytes, then it was next megabyte. So you can see how the changes occur day to day in the computer system. Storage structure. In the storage structure, there is nothing but the main memory as well as secondary memory. In the main memory, only a large storage media, that is the CPU can access directly, that is random access. Secondary storage memory is a main memory, that is non-volatile storage capacity. So whatever the content is stored in the main memory, it is erased whenever the system is switched off. And the secondary storages, you can see whenever even the switch is off also, or the system is not working, the whatever the content stored in the secondary storage devices, it won't erased. Even your hard disk as well as your portable hard disk, pen drive, all comes under secondary storages. And RAM, that is main memory, is all considered as a RAM, and the secondary storage is considered as a ROM. Hard disk, there is metal, there is rigid metal or there is a glass plotter covered with the magnetic recording materials. There is a disk surface is logically divided into tracks. So something like it's a disk, it's divided into tracks. So this is one there is sector. This is what one sector, two sector, three sector, four. This is how the disk hard disk will be that is divided, and there will be a pointer will be wherever the data is there, that pointers keep on moving that in that direction. Solid disk state faster than the hard disk, non-volatile, various technologies and become more popular. That is nowadays there is a solid state disk is coming into the market. It is more faster than the secondary storage devices. Storage hierarchy, that is storage system organized in the hierarchy, speed, cost and volatile. Caching and device driver. Caching is nothing but a copying the information into the faster storage system. Main memory can be viewed as a cache for secondary storages. So there is something like called as a RAM. This is a RAM and this is a ROM. This is a secondary memory and this is a main memory. So there is a and for this ROM, RAM actually acts like a cache system. That is the whatever the store memory, that is whatever the content stored in this location in the RAM are all temporarily. So whatever the store memory, there is data stored in the ROM are all permanently stored. So that is what says main memory can be viewed as a cache for secondary memory. This is like acts like a cache for the ROM. That is nothing but the main memory. Device driver for each device controller to manage input output. So provides uniform interface between controller and the kernel. So whatever the for to mouse as well as to work the keyboard, that is keyboard, and to work your mouse, as well as to work your speaker, as well as you to work your monitor, that is what to say printer. All for all this you require device drivers. So device drivers will be installed in between the operating system and the devices. So you can see here, first it was here, for example, think that the registers, so group of registers makes you the cache, and cache is nothing but is a group of that is for example consider this is a 4 registers and this is something like a 8 registers. 8 register makes you the cache memory, and main memory is nothing but something around 12 register makes the main memory, and solid disk is nothing but your hard disk, and optical disk nowadays is coming, and magnetic tape. If this you can see the structure of this whatever the content stored at this location was very less compared to this. This is more. Compared to cache, the main memory is more, and main memory compared to there is a hard disk is little bit more. So like this the hierarchy goes, but whatever the there is content stored in the register will be faster access compared to the whatever the data stored in the hard disk. Fast as well as there is computation will be more in at this point of time. Computation will be more compared to computation whatever the data has to perform at this location. Caching. What is caching actually? Is a faster storage checked first to determine its information is there or not. So it's a faster storage checked first to determine if the information is there or not. And cache is a smaller than the storage being cached. Cache management important design problem. Cache size and replay, there is something like caching is nothing but you can see here in the main memory. Main memory acts like a cache to the secondary memory. There is there will be, for example, if you want to compute something A, B, C. So for example, if you want the data whatever the stored at this location A plus B, for example, it's very difficult to access for the computation. So compared to here, so in the main memory is very nearer to the computing, and whatever the data stored in the main memory to compute a plus b, it can easily access and easily can store. So whereas the to compute the data which is stored in the secondary memory, it's very difficult to access. After computing, it's very difficult in the sense very late it takes to store back in the secondary memory. So always cache is a faster compared to the secondary memory. It's something like a within a fraction of second it can perform the operation. And whatever the data what is stored in the cache is all temporary, not permanently. Whatever the data stored in the secondary memory is a permanent, but very late to access from the to compute from the cache to the secondary memory. Direct memory access structure used for high speed input output devices able to transmit the information at close to memory speed. Device controller transfer the block of data from buffer storage directly to the main memory without CPU. Only one interrupt is generated per block rather than the one interrupt per byte. High speed input output devices control the transfer block of data from buffer and only one interrupt is generated per block rather than the one interrupt per byte. So this is how that is indirect memory access from the memory. You can see here in the CPU there will be multiple of threads, that is processor will be getting executed, and its data will be transmitted from the devices to the CPU, and if any interrupt occurs it can stop the execution of the program. So there is this is a cache memory and this is a CPU. So cache is in between the memory as well as there is CPU as well as in the memory, where the instruction that is execution of the cycle is very less, and as well as data movement between the cache memory and there is memory will be faster, and there is machine can directly access the data that is from the memory as well as from the CPU. Common computer system architecture. So most systems uses a single purpose processor. That is, most systems have special purpose processor as well also. Multiprocessor or system growing in use and importance. Multiprocessor. So there will be, till now we have seen only one processor running at a system. Nowadays there are multiple processor are running parallelly. So multiprocessor, also known as a parallel system. So multiprocessor also can be called as a parallel system or tightly coupled system. So in the examination they can ask, give write a definition or give another name for the multiprocessor. So parallel system as well as tightly coupled system. What is the advantages of using a multiprocess system? One is increase the throughput, economically scale, and increase reliability. So economically scale in the sense, see in the one there is having a to run each. See, you have think that one processor, first processor, second processor, or third processor has to perform the computation. If each processor having a separate there is a processor for the computing purposes, it was very difficult as well as cost will be more. Having all the three processor in a single CPU, then the computation will be more and the cost is also very less. Increases the reliability, that is degradation or fault tolerance will be very less. Fault tolerances, if you have a multiple processor or multi-core, nowadays you have a dual core, 4 core, 8 core system, where you can have a result very faster compared to one core system. So it will be increase the reliability. There will be fault tolerance will be very less if you see in the single core system compared to the 4 core system. So 4 core system, something like a 4 filter, it keeps on filtering and get a answer very accuracyly, it will be more. And in this multiprocessor you can see the two types of multiprocessor. One is asymmetric multiprocessing system and second one is a symmetric multiprocessing system. Asymmetric multiprocessing system, each processor is assigned a special task. Symmetric, each process performs all tasks. So asymmetric multiprocessing system, each processor is assigned in a special task. So in the consider this is one processor, second processor, third processor. Each processor is assigned separate tasks. So for example, here there will be separately work is assigned, separate work and separate work will be assigned. That is called as asymmetric. In symmetric, each processor performs all the tasks. So the think that addition of one is addition, second one is subtraction, third one is multiplication and division. So each one will perform separate task, that is called asymmetric. In symmetric, all these operation are all performed by all these three, whichever the, for example, addition is been assigned for this processor, subtraction is assigned for this processor, and division is assigned for this processor. So whichever the process finishes work can directly take the fourth one and can perform the operation. This is called symmetric multiprocessing. So compared to asymmetric, symmetric is will be more convenient for the user. So you can see the symmetric multiprocessing, something like what I said, will having a memory, single memory, and will have a separate three process separately. So addition is done here, subtraction is done here, division is done, and one is multiplication is waiting for whichever the process completes its work. Then assign that fourth one to the any one of this processor or CPU. So this is what symmetric multiprocessing architecture. And each processor will have a cache memory separately. There is no one cache memory, but the main memory will be only one, and cache memory will be each for each CPU will be having it separately for each CPU. So dual core, nowadays 4 core, 8 core system are there. Now they are given one example for dual core. So dual core is a multi-chip and multi-core system. In the multi-chip and multi-core system, you can see a systems containing all the chips, chassis containing a multiple separate system. So you can see here, this is a dual core. First, there is a, because it has a 2 CPU core, so it says a dual core. In each CPU core, you have a registers and cache separately. So cluster system. What is cluster system? It's like a multi-processor systems, but multiple system working together. It's a multi-processor system, but multiple systems working together. So that is called nothing but a storage area network, where you have multiple systems working all together for one computing, where and where each system having a they have a shared resources also, as well as they have their own resources. So when whichever the resources is, the systems resources shortages, they can ask the resources from the other system. So cluster system, something like in a classroom, if any one of doesn't have any of the resources like book, pen, eraser, then some other person can give. So that is what a classroom can call as a cluster system. Provides a high availability of, obviously, if anyone of them have not brought any of these things to the perform the examination or in the class, then anyone can give the resources. So high availability, so failure is very less at the cluster system. Asymmetric clustering as one machine in hot standby mode, and symmetric clustering is a multiple nodes running application monitoring each other. So asymmetric clustering, something like there will be one a class representative. So something like can give one example is there is one there is a class representative. As well as symmetric clustering, all are class representative, each one can monitor each one of you, something like that. One example that is better. Some clusters are for high performance computing, and some have distributed log manager to avoid the conflict operations. So you can see a storage area network. You will have a multiple computers, and each computers are interconnected to each other. So if the resources, for example, if that here you have 1, 2, 3 resources, here you have 4 and 5 resources, and here you have a, once again you have 1, 2, 3 resources. Okay, here see they're making use of 1, 2, 3 resources here, and they require a 4, 5, but here 4, 5 it is not at all. It can be accessed from the second computer and work start working the 4, 5 perform the operation. Whereas here it doesn't have a 1, 2, but this resources is allocated for this computer, and it's still not at all finish its work, but this is still idle. It make use of these resources to finish its work and perform the operation. This is what it helps in the cluster computer. Operating system structure. Multi-programming. There is multi-programming can also be called as a batch system. Next one is a time sharing or multitasking. In the multi-programming batch system needed for efficiency. Single user cannot keep CPU and input output devices busy at all time. So, for example, your classroom cannot be kept busy for all the time. For example, first in the afternoon you have a classes, in the morning you have a classes, in the afternoon and your class becomes empty, instead because you people practicing you have a lab, so you went to the lab session. So at that time the classroom in the afternoon session will be empty. So instead of that, we can make use of this classroom by giving to the other class students, so they can make use of this classroom by the other class students. So something like a batch system. Multi-programming organizes the jobs to, so CPU always has one to execute it. A subset of total jobs in a system is kept in memory. One job selected and run via job scheduling. When it has to wait, OS switches to another job. Time sharing is a logical extension in which CPU switches jobs so frequently that user can interact with each job while it's running and creating interact more compounding. Response time should be less than 1 second. Each user has at least one program executing in processes and it has a separate CPU scheduling. Swapping should also be there, so its process do not fit into memory. Swap moves in and out to run the CPU scheduling. Virtual memory allows the execution of a process not completely in memory. So memory layout for multi-programming system, you have a operating system, you have a number of jobs keep on performing this operation. If this job is becoming idle, then there is no need of providing the operating system resources to job 1. It can directly provide to the job 2. So once the job 2 is completed, it can provide a job there is resources to the job 3. So when it is idle, at that time this becomes active, then the operating system can give the resources to job 1. So 1 and 2 and this is a 3, and at last when it becomes a working, it can give the resources to the job 4. So memory layout for multi-programming system. So here there is no need of having a separate operating system for each job. So we can handle by having only one operating system to all the 4 jobs. Operating system operations is a interrupt driven. We have said in the beginning itself, interrupt driven. Hardware interrupt by one of the devices, software interrupt by exception or by trap. So software error you can consider if you have a given a division by 0 is one example. So if you give a division of by 0, then the programs come back to the main program. There is a it won't get executed, it comes to the main program. So that is called a software error. And request for operating system services. Other process or process problems includes infinite loop process. Infinite loop process also a software interrupt process also, software interrupt operations. So in the operating system you have a dual mode operation. Operating system protects itself and other system components. One is user mode and kernel mode. So mode bit this will be explained by showing one diagram in the next slide. So you can see here mode bit provides the ability to distinguish when the system is running user code or kernel code. There will be kernel code as well as user code. Some instruction designated as a privileged, and system call changes the mode to kernel return from the call sets, increasing the CPU supports and multi-mode operation. You can see the diagram here. Here you can see here whenever user processing executing. So for example, think that you have a addition of 2 number. In that system call is a printf, scanf or hash include. So whenever it comes to the kernel mode. So in the kernel mode, because your compiler will be, all the compilers will be installed in the kernel mode of the each compilers that is in the operating system. System calls the there is a trap it changes from whenever it is from the user mode to kernel mode. Whenever the controls move from user mode to control mode, you can see a mode bit is 1. Whenever in the controller at the mode bit there is user mode, then mode bit will be 1. So whenever it calls, the system calls the when it calls the kernel mode, then the controller moves to the kernel mode. At that time mode bit will become 0. So make sure mode bit when it is 1 when it is in the user mode, mode bit will be 0 when it is in the kernel mode. So it executes the system calls, there is a addition of two numbers. For that, what is required, it performs the operation, then it returns. Whenever it returns from the kernel mode to the user mode, then the mode bit will be becomes 1, returns the from the system calls. So user processes and kernel processes, this is how it going to work. Whenever it is in the user mode, it is a mode bit 1. Whenever it is in the kernel mode, it will be the mode bit by 0. So timer is sent to the interrupt the controller after some time period. Keep a counter that is decremented by the physical clock. Operating system set the controller. When a controller 0, generate an interrupt. Whenever controller it becomes a counter, that is process, that is counter, it gets decremented from bit mode bit to 0, then it moves to the kernel mode, it performs operation, then it's incremented, then it went to the user mode. Set up before scheduling process to regain control or terminate the program that exceeds the allotted time. Process management. A process is a program. Process is nothing but a program in execution. It is a unit of work within the system. Program is passive entity. Process is an active entity. One is program is a passive and process is a active entity. Process need the resources to perform its task. One is CPU, memory, input, output, devices, files, initialization, data. Process termination requires reclaim of a resources. Single threaded process as one program counter. Multi-threaded process as one program counter per thread. Single thread process has one program counter. Multi-thread process has one program counter per thread. Typically, system has many processes, some users, some operating system running concurrently on one or more CPUs. Process management activities. So in this process management activity you will learn in the third chapter of the same module. We will see each and everything in detail in the third chapter. Operating system is responsible for the following activities. For what purpose? One is creating and deleting the user and system process. Next, suspending and resuming the process, providing the mechanism for the synchronization, providing the mechanism for the communication of the process, providing the mechanism for the deadlock handling. So deadlock handling we'll see in the coming that is in the third module. Very interesting, where there will be a lot of problem how the process requests the resources in the operating system and how the deadlock it get solved in the operating system and how the resources are allocated to the processes. Memory management. Memory management. To execute a program, all of the instruction must be in memory. To execute a program, that instruction should be there in the memory, maybe in the main memory or maybe in the secondary memory. All part of the data that is needed by the program must be in memory. Memory management determines what is in memory. Memory management activities keeping track of which part of the memory are currently being used by whom. So for example, some resources has been asked by the one processor, and to keep track of that particular process who have executing that particular process, and when there is in that particular memory is keeping track each and everything in the memory, deciding which processes and data to be moved into and out of the memory. After finishing his job, the which process has to be thrown out from the memory, each and everything will be monitoring by the memory management, allocating and deallocating memory spaces as needed. Next, storage management. Operating system provides a uniform and logical view of information storages. One is abstract the physical properties to a logical storage unit. Each medium is controlled by devices. File system management, that is files usually organized into directories, subdirectories, root, etc. Each and everything will be handled by the store management, that is sub management will be handled by the file system management. Access control on most systems to determine who can access what, so who for whom it has been given a permission, etc. are all been seen by the file management system. Operating system activities includes creating and deleting the files, primitives to manipulate the files, mapping files into secondary storages, backup files onto the non-volatile storage media. Non-volatile in the sense RAM. Mass storage management, usually disk used to store the data that does not fit in the main memory. Proper management is of a central importance. Entire speed of a computer operations hinges on disk subsystems and its algorithms. Operating system activities, it frees space the management, storage allocation, disk scheduling. Some storage need not be fast. You can see the performance of the level of the storages. So register, cache, main memory, solid disk, magnetic tapes. That is more than the 10 terabyte. Implementation of technology on chip, on CMOS RAM, flash memory, magnetic disk. Access time, you can see how the access time in the register. See, the register access time is very less compared to the cache, and cache access time is very less compared to the main memory. Main memory is lesser than this. This is keep on increasing. If it is in the register, it's a fraction of second you can access the content. So there is a migration of you can see a multitasking environment must be careful to use the most recent value no matter where it is stored in the storage hierarchy. Hard disk, that is main memory, cache, hard disk, register. So hard disk register, it is very faster to access the data, and this is how it been stored in the hard disk, main memory, in the main memory cache, and from the cache it is being stored in the register. Then only the movement of the data, that is content in the register and for the computation process will be very easy. If you access the same content from the hard disk, it will take a lot of time. So multiprocessor environment must provide a cache coherences in hardware such that all CPU have the most recent value in their cache memory. Input output subsystem. One purpose of operating system is to hide the peculiarities of hardware devices. Input output system responsible for the memory management of input output in the buffering temporarily while it is being transferred, caching, spooling, etc. General devices are driver interfaces, drivers for specific hardware devices. Protection and security. Protection and mechanism for controlling the access of a process. Security defines the system against internal and external attacks. So internal and external attacks like denial of services, viruses, entity theft, etc. Or all this is why it is required a protection. For each system generally first distinguish among the user to determine who can do what. User identity, there is user identity will be there, group identity will be there. User ID includes the name and the associated number, one per user. So each user of this particular system will be identified by the user number as well as user ID. User ID then associated with all the files process. Whenever the user ID is been allocated, so whenever you open a file, the user ID will be accessed. So who have access the particular file can be accessed by the operating system easily by the help of the user ID. Group identifier allows the set of user to define and control the manager, then also associated with each process files. Computing environment, it's a standalone general purpose machine, but blurred as most system interconnected with others. The portals provide a web access to the internal system. Networking computer, there is nothing but thin clients or like web terminals. Mobile computers interconnects via wireless networks. Computing environment using a distributed system. In this distributed computing, it's nothing but a collection of separate possible heterogeneous systems networked together. Network is a communication path. That is, network you have a TCP as well as IP. That is Internet Protocol most common. That is for connect used to connect a local area network, wide area network, metropolitan area network. Like this. In our lab, it is a local area network. Wide area network that is in the web, and metropolitan area network. Even building to building also we can consider even wide area network, metropolitan area network, web. Network operating system provides a feature between systems across the network. Even network operating to communicate between each system, there should be a network operating system communication between across the network. Communicating scheme allows the systems to exchange the messages. You can exchange the messages using a two system with the help of the network operating system. Client server computing dump terminals supplanted by smart PCs. Many systems now servers responding to the requests generated by clients. Compute server system provides an interface to client to request the services. You can see here server request, there is a number of clients, there is client desktop, client laptop, client smartphone are all connected to the cloud, the network, and cloud there is all these three devices can access a single server. This is how by help of the client server computing system. And computing environment peer to peer, there is a point to point or peer to peer. Another model of distributed system is a P2P, that is peer to peer does not distinguish the client and server. Here all are client only, instead all nodes are considered as a peer, that is from each there is node all the clients can be connected. You can see this is connected to there is first client, second client, and third, fourth, fifth. For all the 5 nodes are interconnected each other. May each act as a client, server, or both. So whenever this client resources is required by this acts like a server and requests services. And if this wants the resources by this process client, then this acts like a server. Vice versa. Node must join point-to-point network or peer-to-peer network, register its services with central lookup services or network, broadcast the requests for services. Example include a Napster and a Nuttler voice over internet protocol such as Skype. Allows the operating system to run application within other OSs. There is emulation used when source CPU type different from targeted. Virtualization, operating system natively compiled for CPU running a guest OSs, and virtual machine manager provides a virtualization services. So use cases involves a laptop, desktop running multiple operating systems, and virtual machine can run natively, in which case they also the host. There is no general purpose host than any other virtual machine operating system. So you can see here computing environment virtualization. So this is actually a main computer. Here they install a virtual machine manager. So since it is a single there is a machine, here when you install a virtual machine, for each kernel or for each virtual machine there will be separate kernel, separate processors. You see here, and for this particular virtual machine the hardware will be shared is only one, but for the it looks like a separate operating system, separate kernel. There is because of virtual machine manager. So each user or each client can assign a virtual machine separately, where it looks like a separate for them, but in the back end it looks a one system itself, but it is partitioned with the help of the virtual machine manager. Cloud computing, you have it. There is a public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. And the software, there is one or more application available via internet. There is a platform as a services. Software stack the ready for application users via internet. Infrastructure services, servers or storage available over internet for the backup purposes. And this will be studied in the storage area network in the coming semesters. Computing environment, cloud computing. By this we have covered the first chapter in the first module. in the remaining two modules is two chapter is there. We'll see in the next classes. If you have any doubt or any comments, you can put it in the comment section. Thank you once again. Thank you all.